Uh,
What's
yeah,
good? What's going on? How you doing? How you feel? It is the Chop Up Show. Don't you know? Don't you know? I don't know. I'll
yeah.
be like rhyming to bring it in. It's your girl Toya G. It's another Thursday night in the neighborhood. It is uh, a great night to have a great night with Chop Nation. And you see, the Consciously is not with us tonight, but will be back with us next week as the usual. But I always want to acknowledge and shout out my boy, definitely, since he's not necessarily here in the mix. But it's cool because I got my other brother with me. Please greet the people because you got good manners and such. Talk to him.
We are here. This is the Chop Up. I am the political plug, and we got some serious shit to get into. Very,
Absolutely.
very serious shit to get into.
There's always some serious shit to get into. It ain't
The
enough
world is
laughing.
not a game these
It's
days.
not enough giggling and sniggling going on for me, but we doing what we can. We create our own joy here. But at the same time, we got to talk real business. I want to shout out Jimmy in the chat. I want to shout out Free DNA. What's good with you? What's going on? Y'all say what's up when y'all come in here. Y'all already know what it is. It's always a family reunion. It's always a good time. And just like us, y'all should come in peace. We come in peace. You feel me? So
What up?
we're gonna go ahead and get into the way that we start our conversations. Give me 2 seconds. Literally, my chair is empty, but I'm gonna keep talking to y'all. It's time for the 2 minute warning.
We about to get into the 2 minute drill. We about to get into
Actually,
the
the
two
two
minute
minute
drill.
drill. I'm back in the building. Had to go get my timepiece because we keep it legitimate around here. And with the 2 minute drill, shout out to GA Freeman. Shout out to Antifa. What's good with y'all? Y'all know
Make
we
sure
gotta
everybody
talk.
y'all say what's up as y'all come in. Y'all know how it go. We got to
Yeah,
get these rants off real quick though.
real quick, but we
Yeah.
talk about a couple of points of interest and contention, things going on around us that we might not splash into in the big conversation, but we definitely want to touch on for a minute. What's good, Brandon? What's good, Jadar? Gia? Giardina, my bad. My brain trying to make the connection.
Yeah, all
What's
them
good with
vibes.
all y'all? Giardina, what's good?
Yeah.
Everybody say what's up when y'all come in. I got 2 minutes on the clock, and I want to go ahead and start with you, Plug. Go ahead, hit it. You go ahead and bring it in.
All right, so for my 2 minute drill this week, I don't know if y'all have heard, but the Target boycott is supposedly ending. Uh, Jamal Bryant that came out, the celebrity pastor that literally became the face, became the voice of the Target boycott, has come out and said we're ending it. After productive talks that he feels he's had with Target, he feels like it's time for us to end the boycott and try to work towards rebuilding our consumer company relationship and all of that. A
Yeah.
part of the comfortability that he spoke to was the idea that um, the the things that were known as DEI will now be reflected in other areas with new
The
names.
belonging program
The
is what he
belonging program, right? So
yeah.
it's this new language that they using to describe DEI things, and so because he feels like that they are moving in a productive way, that the boycott is over. Niggas is not feeling the same though. The response has not been, Doctor, you're doing a great job. The response has been, you're bugging. We don't care that you was the face. You talking about it's ending, but we not feeling that. And I actually agree more so with those people.
Yeah.
If the fact that you've received no concession, no pushback, no calling out of the Trump administration for even doing any of that type of shit, what reason do we have to resume that relationship? So the idea that Jamal Bryant would get up here and say some shit begs the question: brother, is somebody paying you? I'm not saying that you sold out or anything that way, but to look at what Target has done in response to the boycott and say, good job, we've done it, we can end it. I don't know. I'm calling into question, you know what I'm saying, certain judgment capacities, certain incentives that may make you feel like, you can move in that direction. But I agree with the people flat out saying, nah, it's not happening. If the Target boycott is still happening, regardless of whatever fluffery they've added.
Big purr. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and throw on 2 minutes, but before my 2 minutes start, I want to watch this. I want us to collectively watch this Nick Fuentes video real quick. I'll let you know when we can cut it off and move on. But before I start my 2 minutes, we're gonna go get it going. And before you press play, shout out to Jazz the Flower. Shout out to the comments bumping. I'm gonna talk about Antifa. We're gonna have another 2 minute drill after this. We're both gonna weigh in on this next little thing. And G.A. Freeman said somebody got paid, and they believe it's
Without a doubt.
Jamal Bryant. So,
without a doubt.
Go ahead and hit the clip real quick. Let's go ahead and
We
get into
have
this
to
next
put
video.
all the differences aside. We really do. We have to put the differences aside, left and right, Republican, Democrat, Christian, Muslim, white, black, men, women. We have to put all that aside and stand against the occupation. Let me put it very simply in terms everybody can understand. Our country is under a hostile occupation. That's what it is. Our government is occupied. Our government, our elites, all the institutions that control the country. The United States of America is an occupied nation. Wow. We are occupied by a hostile alien force, and they have so much control that they are able to send our sons and daughters, the bravest and best among us, to kill and die for their agenda. It has nothing to do with protecting America. It has nothing to do with defending the homeland, our interests, anything like that. Our sons and daughters, the bravest and best among them that volunteer and take up arms, are being sent to kill and die, to take life and give up their own lives for the agenda of this hostile occupying force. Call it what you want. Israel, world Jewry, organized Jewry, a Jewish fifth column. That is what is happening. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what party you vote for. I don't care if you hate every other one of my views. I am a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe we are all created by God. And I believe that the ethos of our civilization is selfless love. I think it's time for all of us to unite. Every one of us to unite against this hostile force. If you are with me, against this unnecessary bloodshed, against this expansionist, wicked, ethnocentric agenda in Israel, murdering and killing and looting and hijacking and parasiting. If you're an American citizen, if you long to be free, independent, and sovereign as an American, then I am with you. And we all have to stand together, and I mean it. I mean it. Not a rhetorical trick. It's not a bit. I'm not rage baiting or anything like that. We all have to unite now as Goyim, as Gentiles, as Americans.
We can stop it.
As Christians.
I let so much of it play. I let so much of it play because of it.
Hey, I'm gonna have to get 2 minutes on that too.
No problem. Here's my thing. I'll start my time now. The level of apex grifting par excellence with a touch of anti-Semitism and a tinge of Christian nationalism mixed with a whole bunch of you don't say, really just like what? You know what I'm saying? And I shout out to the chat. Cat Regime said it's a trap. It is. It's a money trap. It's a pit trap. And here's the thing: because so many people are now social media inclined, and they're trying to find their voice and influencers and people who are saying the things that they don't have the courage or the ability to get on a camera and say. People are able to really captivate some people in between and some very interesting nooks and crannies of things. And there's this scramble to also get new, audiences and followers and people to be impressed or moved by this shift in consciousness and to really see the dynamic nature of human and man really just at our forefront where people can change and grow and shit like that. And so they see it as an opportunity to align themselves, but I want you to beware. Right. I think that, it is very interesting and fascinating that all of a sudden you have the rapid, ability to articulate and explain and describe a reality. Like now you want to be a part of a we and connect. And now none of these differences, you are Nick Differences Fuentes. That is your middle name. And you start out being like these differences, you are not to be trusted. High levels of skepticism. And what my brother Adam Joshua Jackson of formerly Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle would say, a healthy skepticism. You need to keep your eye on shit like that when they move around, because even though you had a move of consciousness, and I'm even quoting Pastor Christian A. Smith when I say this, a very popular deconstructionist who does the work of really digging into the language of Christian nationalism, is like the MAGA people waking up, you know what I'm saying, and kind of having this consciousness is cool, but you got to take that shit. It's a different group for you. It's a different support group for you. We are not the people to come around. I'm not the person to be moved or impressed. I'm not the audience for any of that shit. I don't buy it for a minute. So I love that you're healing and working through a lot of disconnections you made. I'm going into overtime, but I need you to do that shit over there. Find another audience or a group of people that can help to nurture what you got going on, because I'm not into it, and I hope you don't get into it either, especially as we get close to these elections. Watch who you support and giving your energy, giving your views, giving your time to. They playing with you. 2 minutes on the clock for you, plug. Get it in.
Okay. So even if we was to take any bit of this serious, right? The thing that we have to understand is y'all are example of the problem. Because as soon as shit get cool, it's gonna be right back to now the niggas still need to stay over there. Like, let's stop acting like selfless, self-love. We're all Americans. That's the reason why Donald Trump got there, is because you felt the exact opposite. Like, stop playing with. I take it as a extreme form of disrespect. Like, these people really think we're stupid. Really think we're stupid. We've recognized that white supremacy isn't just destructive to black people; it's destructive to white people as well.
My lord.
It's just, it creates a worse circumstance for you. And now that you're starting to recognize that the fact that you would abandon every other social benefit to maintain racial bullshit beliefs, it doesn't work out for you. Now it's, oh nah, we all Americans. Stop it. We not that, bro. We beef with Israel. We have a beef with Israel and how it operates, but not for the same reason you do. They are white. They fit in that white paradigm, that white supremacy paradigm, that white imperialist paradigm that we criticize, that we know it's a problem. Y'all late to the party. That opportunity is gone. We knew what was coming with Donald Trump. Y'all was worried about the Mexicans. Now you got to eat that. All of this talk about, I never downplay like soldiers going to war. Like, that's significant. That means a lot. But the sympathy, it becomes complicated because you voted for this. This was your man's, not mine. So if you would have took the advice from the people that you hated, we wouldn't be here in the first place.
Lisa Ann said, are we arguing about this? No, we're giving 2-minute takes about the situation because we don't believe Nick Fuentes and know he's a piece of shit still and forevermore. And Tifa said, right, instead of integrating pools, they paved over them. Like, that's some fucked up thinking. Like that, any stimulus that can produce that type of logic and defend it in any way, in any context of its trajectories, like you suspect. Creatively in the building said, we preaching it. Trevor's in the building said, you was cooking plug. So we out here. Here's the thing. I do want to acknowledge a couple shootings today. This is the last conversation I want to get into because they are very interesting in nature. I don't even know if we're going to do a 2-minute drill on them. I just want to put this on your radar, especially as we look at it from multiple angles, these two shootings. Today, a gunman identified as 36-year-old Mohammed Balor Jallo opened fire inside of a classroom at Old Dominion University's Constant Hall in Norfolk, Virginia, killing one person and injuring 2 others, 2 of them members of the ROTC program. Before the attacker was killed, authorities says Jallo was a former Army National Guard previously convicted in 2017 of attempting to provide material to support ISIS and had been released from prison in 2024. A lot of people very skeptical about a lot of these things, right? He's 36 years old, so he's about our age, in our kind of age bracket. Interesting to think about, from a bunch of different angles, sleeper cells, real connections to ISIS, how easily and loosely those connections end up being tossed around. A lot of interesting things going on, but that was a shooting that happened today up on that campus, and a lot of things are, still unfolding about that particular issue. Shooting number 2. A man drove a vehicle into Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield, Michigan, crashing through the building and down a hallway before being confronted by security staff. The suspect died during the confrontation. Explosives were later found in the vehicle. One security guard was injured, and authorities said no worshipers or children at the synagogue school were seriously hurt. Now, when I think about this, or my first kind of thought in this, and it says the Temple Israel in West Bloomfield had conducted an active shooter drill exercise with the FBI just 6 weeks before the recent armed attack at the synagogue. When I look at instances like this, the first thing I think about, and this is just my objective observation, is that people, because of this war, are now going to be lashing out at Israeli, Jewish places of worship, places where people who with a lot of ties to Israel, with a lot of reverence to that particular place like that, are very pronounced about that. And it's an unfortunate thing that lives, you know what I'm saying, children, young people are being impacted by this war, but because people feel incited and feel entitled to kind of act out in rage against these spaces because they feel the puppeteering of Israel in the relationship to the United States, it really does create a precarious position now for, I think, those places of worship and other places, other cities, other neighborhoods where a lot of Jewish people are, because the more we see Israel kind of forcing his hand and influence in whatever ways is very mysterious to us still what the United States is trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more that I think we start to see some of these instances where people, for whatever, virtuous, righteous reasons they see in their mind, feel justified in attacking some of those spaces. So those are some observations, some things I want y'all to think about, know about what's going on around y'all, and get into it that way. Let's go ahead and jump into the conversation of the night. We got about 45 minutes to talk about one of the most pressing things for everybody's life right now, the conflict, the war that we are in with Iran. Plug, go ahead and take it, move it, and groove it. Let's go ahead and get into the big shot for the night.
All right, y'all. So this is what I want to know in terms of what's been going on with the war, right? Because I think it's fair to say that right now we are in the era of misinformation, and we are in the era of anti-intellectualism. Like that's where we are, right? And we see misinformation and anti-intellectualism kind of not even just no longer exist in social media spaces where it really ran rampant. It went from being like social media was this independent media place to where it's just like, nah, it's a place where niggas just go to make shit up and share it as much as possible, to get as many clicks and likes and views, regardless of like how factual the information is, right? We know that happens. And then we had traditional media to where it was like, well, we know it's corporate, right? But there's still like journalistic integrity. Like there's still like these journalistic standards that exist in traditional media. That, like, does it have its corporate overlords? Of course. But journalistic integrity matters, right? Like, right. Like journalistic integrity isn't partisan. And then now, as of late, we've seen since Donald Trump's resurgence into power, we've seen multiple major media outlets capitulate to his demands. CBS going as far as hiring pro-Trump anchors and not airing certain stories, not allowing certain candidates to be interviewed, like really pushing the line. So, and as we see what's happening with the war in Iran, it's a lot of images and a lot of conversations that U.S. media is refusing to have. There's transparency that we know is not there, and the reason why we know it's not there is because we got the internet. We can see what the Turkish newspapers are talking about.
Absolutely.
We can see what all the other, the other Al Jazeera.
The world of modern globalization is something else.
You know what I mean? So
our news cycle is international. Yes.
So we know what's being said, but then when we look around in our American circles, we can clearly see that there's a desire to push a particular narrative. And I know it's a lot of niggas is gonna be like, we know that. That's what the media do. We know. But I think in this moment in particular, it's extremely important because we are in dangerous times. When I say we're in dangerous times, we hearing about terrorist attacks, sleeper cells. Like we're hearing about, the possibility of soft targets being places where Iranian sleeper cells can target here in the United States. While at the same time, we don't trust shit that come out these people's mouth.
Yeah. So
what I want to know from y'all before we get kind of deeper more into the specifics is you, Toya, y'all in the chat. How the fuck are y'all dealing with what information you considering valid to help shape how you understand this shit and how it moves? Because me personally, I am like in a full, I ain't even like this usually, but I'm like full conspiracy theory mode. Nothing should be trusted. Like there's nothing that you gonna tell me. You got Iran telling us, and we'll talk more about this in a second, but you got Iran talking about U.S. citizens Don't even worry about that. This ain't even our beef ain't even with y'all citizens. Our beef is with, you know what I'm saying, y'all government.
Right.
Then our government talking about they targeting y'all, they targeting us right now. It's sleeper cell, they waking people up, stoking fear.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So it's like for me, I'm like, hey, like everything is like, I'm calling into question everything. Even though if I'm being honest, I'm more leaning towards like definitely not trusting shit the Trump administration got to say or like the media got to say about sleeper cells or anything else, because I'm more of the belief that I wouldn't put it past them to be on some false flag shit. I wouldn't put it past them to be like, oh, this war, I can see that this war is unpopular. Let me give them a reason to like it. I'm not a conspiracy theory nigga. That's not me.
Yeah.
But in the times that we are in, as someone who studied politics, somebody who studied history, that like and how our government has chosen to move, I would not put shit past them to blow some shit up and be like, oh my God, Iran. Toya,
what's up?
How you dealing with it?
You know, I agree with you 1000%. And I think we have to be reminded of, because of the way the news cycles are creating or have created our reality and shaped our reality, we have to not only kind of dissect what's happening with this war in real time and be kind of trying to sift through the lies and the bullshit and make sure we don't fall for ruses of this and justifications for that. But we also have to connect it to other major things in the pipeline. So we have to remember, y'all, that these Epstein files is chewing niggas up. You know what I'm saying? Like eating them every other day. Like I think Epstein's accountant, and I'm making my point here, I'm coming around the block, stay with me, just testified this week and talked about some money that was paid out after Epstein's death from his trust, from like the like survivor fund that they had to like pay back into for the people who like were proven to have been assaulted. And one of the people that he paid back was directly tied to one of Donald Trump's accusations. So we're not talking about that stuff, and it's highly speculated that the whole reason we got this war going on is to deflect from really having serious conversations, taking people to task, subpoenaing the right people in the context of this investigation. And so when you look at the stick and move, everything you say makes sense. It's the classic red herring fallacy to look over there. Right. So that, you know what I'm saying? Like, even, I don't know if y'all know, tell me in the chat if y'all know the movie Lucky Number 11. Right?
Yes.
They got something in the movie called
the Kansas City Shuffle. What
this
the fuck
is
are
the
you talking
Kansas
about?
City Shuffle par excellence, and that is the reason why you can't really sit up and, you know, overly buy and take in whatever media from everywhere. And I think that's the unfortunate part. There would be, even amongst communities, even amongst, you know what I'm saying, like just informed individuals, people who wanted the, you know, the hard line of integrity in news. Like, it was certain place you would trust that was like widely known news sources. Now I think, you know, everybody is going to their own corners and having to figure out who to trust and why they trust and how to qualify information, and do I even take the time to do that at all? You know, we live in a generation where, you know, you post a link to something online and people not reading that article. They in the comments,
they running with the
headline. You know what I'm saying? So how many times do you see comments where it's like, did you even read this?
Did you?
Or you see people in the comments going ahead and summarizing the article, and because they know you're not finna click it, so they go ahead and get the good information for you and put it in comments.
TLDR like a motherfucker.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it really does create, you know, a very difficult position where we are being fed false news, information, lies, and the double whammy on that is that it's also being used to deflect the accuracy, the validity, and the full scope and scale of everything that happened with things like the Epstein trial. Plus, you know, the current state of United States involvement in what's happening in Gaza. Like, well, we ain't talking about that no more. Jared Kushner apparently over there bargaining and negotiating deals to end the conflict. We're no longer having those conversations either. Right? So it really is a stacking of the deck against us in the ways that, you know, we are even being peddled what's supposed to be fact to begin with.
Right. And I think what's even more important than what you're saying is how they're disguising the impact that this war is having on Israel. Because who pointed it out? Somebody pointed it out. They was like, no conspiracy theories, right? We do research. Here's the thing about research.
Yeah.
That shit gotta be like, we talking about published shit, right? when the type of slick shit that they do behind the scenes is rarely put in what we would call what researchable fashion, right? Like you get shit like Iran Contra when somebody jump out the window. You know what I mean? When somebody commits suicide because they, you know what I mean? Like that's the only way you get those types of that type of conversation. And so when you look at, we want to research with them, how is Iran's attack on Israel impacting Israel? Nobody's talking about it. I found a Turkish newspaper talking about the impact on Israel. Correct. Right? You're not going to U.S. sources are so compromised that we can't even get an accurate depiction of the impact of what's happening because of how they're trying to protect a particular image. You know what I mean? So even research becomes a question of, well, who'd you get it from? Right? It's routinely reductive because we got to call into question every layer of how the information was compiled. You know what I mean? And it says a lot that I'm more willing to trust the leader of a foreign nation. And I can't even, as much as we calling them dictators, a lot of it got to do with religious beliefs and how people move. And a lot of these motherfuckers got some nerve calling ayatollahs dictators when they got evangelical leaders who are much worse.
Absolutely.
And support shit way more worse and way more and just more oppressive, if just not as oppressive as the people they calling dictators because they Muslim. So even the kind of image of the enemy that's been created for us has to be called into question in terms of how we have this dialogue. Because even at doing research, there was a lot of narratives around the ayatollahs and their radicalness and what it is they willing to accept and what it is they willing to call into question or what they're willing to allow and how they treat their protesters. America can't call them out on that. Yeah. Joe Biden criminalized protesters on American on U.S. campuses. You ain't got no room to talk, and you can't blame it on Donald Trump
at all.
Like, so before we even start to even talk about framing it on and how we should and how we should characterize them in the context of who they are in this conflict, we got to start with how we talking about them. Even if y'all, I know I sounded like I had an accent when I said it on. But that's only
I'm gonna tell you why I laugh.
But okay,
I got my counter going, and your Iran counter is at 5. And your Iran counter is at 1. Y'all know we holding each other accountable here. We're gonna talk about these nations like the nations that they are. And so I already told Plug, and he agreed with it. He said I could do it. I just want to let y'all know he done said Iran 5 times since we started this conversation, but he did get it right once a couple minutes ago. That's why I smirked. Didn't mean to divert. Go ahead and get
but that's the point though. We even pronounce their name wrong as an example of imperialism and colonization. Absolutely. So even as I'm telling myself I gotta say it the right way, I done said it 5 times in the colonizer's way to be demeaning, to be disrespectful, not meaning to. That's just that way of having that conversation is internalized. And so it's like even when we talk about research, like the publications and who is getting to tell the story, Toya.
Yeah.
So what I want to get into next though is the idea of the false flag shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now you had compiled a list of specifically what was like 5 very specific claims that
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5, yeah. Like so let's talk about the false flag shit. Just based on the shit that's been said recently.
So a couple of things that they want us to believe about the state of affairs of this war as we are 11 days in, kind of outrageous. By the way, the ticker is moving on this thing. I think maybe $50 billion, 40 something, some 40, like it's a lot of billions of dollars been spent on this war that's only been going on for a couple of weeks. So if y'all are wondering, just where the money is going, because it ain't toward affordability, it ain't toward livable lives, it ain't toward social uplift or nothing like that, it's going to the war in Iran and other places supporting you. I mean,
And Pete Hegseth having lobster dinners at the in the Justice Department. But anyway, that's another story. Go ahead.
Crazy. So, live number were coming to the state of California. There were the reports that we now know specifically came from ABC, if I'm not mistaken, and that those reports failed to acknowledge that a lot of the coverage on that was unverified, like kind of clearly potentially falsifiable information about drone attacks on the state of California. Apparently Iran had this, cooked up plan, and I don't know if they were sending the drones from way over there, if again this conversation about sleeper cells and internal agents who are willing to do those things and erect different violences on the state of California it was real. But we see the irony of one of Donald Trump's most hated states being the target of this potential attack, and how convenient it is, especially with the state of California being, I think, one of the most highly populated places in the United States for Iranians to live, that is the place that Iran wants to attack. Like, it just really doesn't make any sense. And so as we see here, California governor says there was no imminent threat, despite warnings about possible Iran drone attack, and that's because it was all big cap. So then we look to this narrative that we're winning everything. The United States, or apparently Donald Trump, has now chummed it up and done a couple of press conferences where he's in front of large audiences talking about how, basically they won in the first hour. They won the conflict, that they're depleted, that they're cooked to smithereens. We had Lindsey Graham talking big shit. Oh, we ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all haven't seen nothing yet. It's only going to get better and worse. And allegedly, they've been high horsing it, talking about how victorious they've been. But we know those things aren't true for a couple of reasons. One, we've experienced loss, right? And there's been conversation and speculation about boots on the ground. And there's a whole lot of debate and negotiation around the uranium and the enrichment and the right to do those things, up to the international law violations. If the United States tries to get any of those things, there's a lot of discussion about some infrastructure being torn up and, some boats being sunk, right? But even then, there's not a lot of people impressed by that, because there's still a lot of infrastructure, still a lot of nuclear development, still a lot of important places and spaces still up and running, even outside of Tehran.
On top of the fact that the last time we attacked Iran, before this like full on offensive, like I forget how long ago that was. When they was first talking about World War III, it's probably like 6 months ago, or is it about 6-7 months ago?
Perhaps.
The U.S. attacked Iran. They was attacking each other's bases, and they said that they hit a nuclear site. So it's like, if y'all are actually destroying a nuclear sites, why do y'all keep going back? Why is it? Yeah, we won, but we got to figure out a way to leave.
Here's the other thing. Allegedly, there were miscalculations on the basic tip of the iceberg assumption that there wouldn't be really a lot of cause and effect on the United States by attacking places like the Port of Hormuz. But what we know about that is that controls 20% of the world's oil access. And so in terms of we won, no, you didn't. You shot yourself in the foot. Now you have oil at about $100 a barrel. I want to say it's like $93, $94. And then we have Iranian leaders letting you know, if you keep playing games, they're going to up it to 2. You know what I'm saying? And they're not playing around. You feel me? So, like, in terms of the just blunders and miscalculations, we have here very clear proof that the whole notion of the Strait of Hormuz and like the impacts of going there and attacking there, that's where a lot of combat has happened. That's where a lot of important cargo ships are being hit. We also recognize too that, just as an aside, even outside of the narrative of them losing, what is happening is civilians are being bombed on. And that port, that strait, is necessary to get aid in and out of there. Now, you already had USAID be defunded and stripped of its resources, and now you have a very complicated conflict there. And that's not only putting a chokehold and bottleneck on a lot of important flow of things like resources, like oil, et cetera, but you also, that's a fight you're not going to win, because there's a whole lot of other interest there that's not just about to let you go in and kind of take that space over. So you're losing. Whether it's on the affordability front in terms of the election that's coming up and these oil prices coming up and how you complicated that whole situation, voters not finna support that. You losing. In terms of actual combat, in terms of return on investment, on terms of how you are supposedly tearing up Iran, you lose. Like, you just losing, bro. And so that is a big ass lie. Go ahead.
On the question of leverage, losing. Because the new Ayatollah, Khamenei's son, has said straight up, for all of y'all, all of our neighbors, everybody around us, Get rid of y'all U.S. and Israel diplomatic. You can use the Strait.
Yeah.
Y'all good. Y'all got all y'all got to do. Get them up out of there. And then you got some diplomats that's leaving on their own. Like, okay, cool. Like, we not. You know what I'm saying? We'll go ahead and I think it was Saudi Arabia. They came out straight up said, hey, this ain't got nothing to do with us. We not involved. You know what I mean? So the United States has no leverage. Our only pit bull in the area was Israel when they get in. And again, even though we can't see the complete damage, they not telling us how bad it is.
Speaking of the next lie,
you talking? Go ahead.
No, I mean you speak. I'm just that's a great transition to the next lie, because the whole narrative or the lack of a narrative, it's a lot of conversation happening. Not a lot of it is about the state of Israel right now. Israel's cooked. If y'all are looking at articles, if y'all are really paying attention to the news and looking under the surface, there are people reporting on how places like Tel Aviv are looking a whole lot like Gaza these days. It's conversations about how Israel is too small and cannot take the brunt of the force of what's happening by Iran and the lickbacks that they getting, to the point where they could get to the place where a lot of their like necessary infrastructure could be so ruined so quickly, so easily, and so dynamically in ways that they could be a failed state before they turn their head good. Right. So the whole kind of we are winning, us in Israel, we in cahoots, we locked in, me and BB gonna make some conversations about decisions about what's next. All of that shit is a facade, because Israel is over there getting ate up right now. And it's not enough images, it's not enough talking about. And I don't, you know what I'm saying, revel in the fact that innocent, like, human beings are losing their lives and their livelihood, but at the same time,
yeah, I mean, like because again,
one way or another,
it's normal people getting caught up. It's normal people getting caught up in the bullshit egos of motherfuckers that run the governments. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're not the same way that you don't want to see, all civilians in Gaza be bombed. You don't want to see that for nobody.
I mean, and it's people, it's Israeli activists that is like shitting on everything that Israel has ever done. You know what I'm saying? So let's not be ignorant enough to think that everybody in Israel is on the same agenda and support their government the same way we do. Definitely, for damn sure, don't support the vast majority of shit this government do. You know what I'm saying? So those people are people whom
it's the regular people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just regular people just out here trying to live a life and just was a part of some shit with a fucked up legacy out here just trying to see what it could look like, and they get caught up in nonsense.
Now I want to provide an example of how Israel is trying to downplay the damage caused by the bombing. All right, this is an article from the Jerusalem Post. After 11 days missile damage in Israel, only a fraction of Iran war in June. So yeah, it was like 6-7 whatever months ago, or more like 8 months ago, whatever. When the last time they was bombing each other. Remember that the first time that we found out that Iran could get through the Iron Dome. So they're trying to downplay it by saying, well, there was more damage with what happened back in June. That was even more messed up. That like to really make it seem like it's like, nah, it's not, it's not that bad. Because then all you got to do is just go to a Turkish source, because you can't find no U.S. source, or it's more difficult. I won't say you can't, but it's more difficult finding U.S. sources to even talk about the damage that's happening in Tel Aviv. But a Turkish article is describing it completely differently. Iranian retaliation devastates Tel Aviv, sparks exodus as 9,115 damage cases recorded. Right, I've seen there's been images of people at airports because they shut down the airport in Israel for people trying to get out, right? So it's like we can't even accurately assess like how Israel is even doing in the context, because it ain't no way that they're gonna let themselves be shown in U.S. media from any position of weakness. The same way we wouldn't allow ourselves to be shown in any position of weakness.
Because the thing is, if you see Israel looking broken, we've hitched our wagon to them, they hitched theirs to ours. So any sign of weakness from either country makes the other country look weak, bad, and poor. So you can't spin the narrative that we're winning, we're doing great, whatever, from the United States perspective, if Israel over there getting their ass whooped. So you can't talk about that, because it make you look bad by connection, by association, and by your own fault.
So then, oh no, go ahead, you got it.
We can slide to the last lie. The last lie is that Iran is losing and depleted and cooked. One thing that needs to be clear is that the older Ayatollah, the one that passed away on the first day of the attacks, was very muchly in control and in command of, the Iranian leadership over there. But at the same time, fam was 87 years old, was already dealing with some health complications. And from what I'm hearing, he was about that life. He about that action, but was a little softer in his approach, ideology, and strategy, which is why, by the way, the United States and Iran been antagonizing each other since like the 1940s, right? So even the real, there was constraint used that was able to keep the tables balanced throughout a lot of this shit, and it was accelerated by the United States. So okay, he passes away, cool. But his daughter-in-law, his son's wife, as well as daughter, was also killed in those original attacks. So guess who's running the show now? The son, Ayatollah Jr., the son of the leader that originally passed away. That's who he is for right now, because I can't remember the other two parts of his name. But he is not in control of that government and is very muchly, they say, one, spry and in his mid-50s, 57, 58 years old, ready for work, ready for action, really don't give a fuck. And to the point that he is notably a whole lot more hard-nosed, a whole lot more, you know what I'm saying, as the young folk will say, in crash-out mode, than even his father was. And so the interest in investments he has not only to execute the different varieties of attacks that he has in store, and even down to the amount of munition that they have. It's just like he's just like you'll be surprised. You're gonna be a fool if you think we ain't got it like that. And he's made those types of commitments on top of the fact that so many other leaders and important infrastructure has stayed intact, right? So you have misconceptions, and his name is Mojtaba Khamenei. I'm gonna mess up the first name, but Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei is the person who is now in the driver's seat of a lot of that, and a lot of the infrastructure of the leaders of the Iranian government and of their movements are still all well and good. So we already talked about the fact that infrastructure is still there, the people still living and thriving, and this is in no way to overly justify any of the things that Iran has done to its people, but also we're getting certain narratives and versions of even that story, which is why it's hard to figure out. And I can't hear you, Plug. But
no, I was waiting for you to get done.
Got you.
That's why I was about to, but I was stopping myself.
Go crazy. I'm just saying it's reason to believe that things are not nearly as murky as they seem.
I was about to stop you on this whole. Well, I don't. I'm not saying in support of
right.
When we listen, don't know America bombed a school. Remember when we was like, oh my God, Israel is so fucked up because it's bombing schools. We just did that. We are responsible for the death of school children. That's how inept this administration is. And to be honest, that's how kind of numb and really fucked up we've been made in the United States, because that's like secondary news. The fact that America blew up a school, like schoolgirls, America blew up schoolgirls is like third or fourth on people's fucking priority list of what to be outraged about today. Like our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
What we ain't got shit to say about what Khamenei is on.
Yeah. What? I said it's tax season. We paying taxes, right? We paying into the war fund right now.
Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Like the nerve of any type of bringing up, oh, are y'all supporting dictators? You support dictators.
My God.
But like easily. The lack of outrage to the shit that the United States has done just in terms of this conflict. Because we are killing civilians. Like we're bombing civilian areas. Like we're killing regular ass people. You know what I mean? With like things the shit that we call terrorist attacks. And all of this is in violation of international law. Yeah. The killing Khamenei was in violation of international law. World leaders, the heads of state are protected. Like you're not supposed, let me just make this clear. You aren't supposed to just be like, I don't like this world leader. Let me blow them the fuck up. That is illegal on the world fucking stage.
What they say on shot is, "Hey, yo, Max, Dunham." I'm sorry, I went to a place.
No, I mean because that's the energy though. That's the energy. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to be able to do that. There are these treaties in place. There's a reason why Donald Trump, with the amount of assassination attempts that came from inside the house. So like we can't, but there's a reason why motherfuckers ain't been like, well, how the fuck do we just blow up the White House? Yep. It's rules to this shit. We got the Constitution for us. There are international laws and international rules to make sure people not just blowing each other the fuck up. And the United States is in complete violation of that. Like, I'm talking about base level international relations. We don't even got to get complicated with niggas. The world don't move like that, but we do.
Yeah.
The beacon of democracy. Man. What are we talking about?
And I know Donald Trump been pissing people off for a term and a half. He's still walking and talking because people have constraint. I mean, of course, they know better, but we should know better too, because nothing about the United States is impenetrable. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we've been having this conversation about, man. We've been having this conversation about like what to believe and what to trust. Let's talk about sleeper cells. Right? I'm gonna give you the issue that I have with these attacks, right? Like these attacks that's just taken place. It's too easy to say that it's Islamic terrorism or that it's anti-Semitic terrorism. And it being too easy to say that makes me think that the sleeper cells that we have to worry about are not from Iran. It's from the people that's willing to justify this. So when you hear sleeper cell rhetoric, does it make you more concerned about what Iran is possible of, or what the United States or what Donald Trump and them is willing to do to justify this war?
Ask the question again so I can make sure I answer the question that you're asking me.
Are you concerned about sleeper cells?
Not any more concerned or any more uniquely concerned that I am about like a white uprising or like the white people in Huntington Beach, which is right down the street from where I live right now, like really turning up and taking it to the streets and, saying enough is enough, or like, I'm like not uniquely concerned about that. Right. I also don't know, I don't want to take for granted anything. But I don't think I'm a target. I think that there will be a level of strategy and execution and things that I personally like would just be like, dang, that's really actually crazy, as opposed to being like, oh my goodness gracious, I am in immediate danger. But I say that, and then we see what happened with things like 9/11, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to take anything for granted, right? Because I do get on airplanes and things like that. Here's what I'll say. I'll circle back and in where I began. I am more afraid of the domestic terrorism that exists around me. I am more afraid of the possibility of unregulated guns killing and taking my life in a public place where I'm just supposed to go and be comfortable. I am more concerned about like rapists and sexual assaulters and people who do not have the best interest of either myself or people that I care about at heart enough to protect those things, and they get to live their lives. Like, I'm equally concerned about all of those things, but not uniquely concerned about any of them, because that is the way that we live here.
I'm with you. And what I think is ironic is that we forget that the FBI thought that the greatest threat to domestic safety was white nationalists until Trump took over the Justice Department.
Interesting.
So for about 5 years straight, the FBI released reports on domestic extremism and had the biggest issue with white nationalism. So the idea that we should be more concerned about Iranian sleeper cells showing up and just committing acts of terror, I think this is where I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm caught in the middle, because we know terror attacks happen. But the problem is, what do you do when the government that you're under, you have less trust in them than you do the people that they accusing of terrorism? I think if anything happens, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I am a researcher. I'm a reader. Mm-hmm. I don't like claiming nothing until I have some type of definitive proof to stand on it, or I have to say that this is just some shit that I believe. The problem that we run into is when you dealing with people who are obtuse and who are as backwards and inept as the Trump administration, Like the things that would typically define a conspiracy becomes just possible. You know what I mean? This is as students of history, unpopular wars, right? We can go back to like all these things that we've seen. We can go back to Pearl Harbor, right? There's conspiracy that there's an idea that we knew about Pearl Harbor and we let it happen so we can get in the war, right? The war on terror, the whole whether or not September 11th was an inside job. But the thing about it though is you have people who, while the astute among us may see something obvious, that at that time it was more by the books, like, well, the books don't show nothing like that. These motherfuckers, they'll do it and get caught. They're dumb criminals. Donald Trump ain't got away with shit that he wasn't given a pass for. They are dumb criminals. So I'm talking about, so their false flag events will be very obvious, like an unpopular war, right? They're not fucking with it. Like historically, how is this went down? How obvious was it that Venezuela was about more regime change than it was about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, painfully.
So, I guess let me ask you this: in terms of Iran and their declarations of support for U.S. citizens, and they've actually been using videos of anti-war protests as their own kind of propaganda to kind of show how U.S. citizens don't even fuck with what Donald Trump and them is doing over here in Iran.
Good on them.
Does it create any solace, the idea that Iran may actually fuck? And they fuck with niggas. You know what I'm saying? They claim they fuck with niggas because they always talk about how black people are treated in America. You know what I mean? Does it create any comfortability? Does it quell anything in you? The idea that they look at us as more so victims of Donald Trump as well, as opposed to something else?
I mean, definitely. I think, as a person who, identifies as a womanist, who identifies as, I think a person accountable to solidarity movements that really are international and that look at like the interwoven nature of things like capitalism, things like imperialism, like that is what the materialization of my politics looks like, right? Is the notion that, religious backgrounds, social backgrounds, like aside, racial backgrounds aside, that we're able to agree on some basic shit, which is like regimes of power and autocracy and monopoly and like fucking like imperialism and power, like the shit is bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that we can all agree that authoritarianism is not a good thing and that it looks different and feels different and comes out differently for different people. But it's a lot of that shit happening both ways. So just on the basic human fundamental level, it's comforting to at least understand that they are able, just like we are able to discriminate their leaders from the people, right? And this is why I talk about and why I'm such a fan of, the concept of diplomacy and how it's so multifaceted, because diplomacy materializes in so many different ways, right? You have government to government diplomacy. Then you also have, hard power diplomacy, which is the ways that we coalesce with other countries to utilize weaponry, to utilize naval, military bases, to organize and strategize in terms of how we build relationships on that level. Then you have soft power, what's the word? Soft power diplomacy, where we're talking about the way that money and economies and things like that flow together. Huh?
My favorite word, neoliberalism.
Very much so, right? But then you also have different diplomacy. You have cultural diplomacy. You have the sharing of different cultural artifacts and components and overlaps and overlays between cultures that allow for diplomacy to be built that way. And then you also have social diplomacy, the ability for the humanization of different cultures and people, and the people themselves really building barriers, reaching over, creating relationships, identifying with each other. And so when we really even understand the dynamics of how different nations interact with each other, how they overlap and overlay, we can't, and I'm bringing it full circle, can't just stop at questions of how these nation states and how these government entities kind of deal with each other. We should be asking deeper, more meaningful, more nuanced questions about the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in terms of their representations and narratives, you show me a terrorist, you show me, you know what I'm saying? Like, a terrorist or somebody who's a threat to another country. I'm probably looking at somebody who's being bullied, who's being manipulated, who didn't just decide to be pissed off for no fucking reason. And so I also end up having a whole lot more questions about what they so mad about in the first place. What did you do? Right? Those are the critical thinking questions that you have to ask, as we're giving narratives about different nations, about different cultural politics, about their grudges and grievances with the United States. Take me back. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and let's historicize this thing, because 9 times out of 10, there are levels or moments of United States antagonism, stirring the pots, putting your nose where it don't belong, trying to go in there and enforce your way and your ethnocentric kind of way of world building and nation building. You trying to go over in somebody else's shit, and so that's why they mad. Or you just straight out stealing. Just straight up, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they be having justifiable reasons, and you just don't like the way they turned up. But the thing is, if you come over and fuck with me, you don't get to dictate and control how I come back at you. The genie's been let out the bottle, baby. And so, like, do I respect
I
people?
hate to do this.
Yes, I love it. Appreciate it.
I hate to do this, and that's why FBA is such bullshit. I hate to bring them up. I hate to bring them up. But Black people's best friends aren't here. They're not in the United States. The people that are more likely to understand the circumstances of Black people are people who also understand the impact of U.S. imperialism and Eurocentric colonialism. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the idea that we as Black people should reject our relationship with the diaspora and relationship with just oppressed people globally to be like, we're American, is fucking ridiculous. It's ass backwards. America has us looking at motherfuckers as a problem. That's not a problem for us. And the only reason they are a problem for us is because we fucking American, and we'll just get caught up in some shit. Remember when they took over, when Iran took over the one shit, who they let out? Oh, it's Black people in here. Yeah, we know what y'all gotta deal with. Yeah, we don't even want to put more on y'all back. Y'all gotta go back home and deal with them anyway. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could go ahead, mob. We gonna keep the rest of them, but y'all Black folk, y'all good. Y'all good. Like, what? I mean, we don't even get that type of white people in America would rather dismiss the history of the transatlantic slave trade and the impact of chattel slavery than be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you probably haven't hard enough, huh? You don't know how to hear.
I mean, like there's a small collective, we know white people that's willing to, but I mean, but even those white people would look and be like, damn, sure not enough. Damn, sure not enough. You know what I mean? So I think that we run into a major issue there when it comes to these questions of credibility. Now, as we round it out though, and we slightly dip into this conspiracy bag, if something was to happen, God forbid, I mean, even though we've had these shootings today, and that's even fucking crazy that I'm even talking about with something else. Like, yeah, I mean, but if it was what we would consider like a major, even though these were major incidents, we are fucked. Like, we are. But if something was to happen, that would be considered a terrorist attack, what evidence would you need to be publicly available and accessible to believe the government's first account of whatever happened?
What evidence would I need there? Except I want everybody's social security card, birth certificate, everybody involved. I want them right there. I want you. I don't know. Like, I have no idea what my threshold is for believability right now. Like the question is, if an attack happened, that it wasn't an inside job, that it wasn't just the United States trying to inflate some shit or take advantage of it. It's a high bar, man. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? If you tell me something happened in South Carolina, I'm gonna be like, damn, South Carolina, I went to college or stayed away. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start feeling emotionally attached to that happening and wanting to, take it objectively, understand and appreciate the severity of now this conflict getting closer to home, right? So I think I'm gonna do what I always do, which is, you know what I'm saying? Like, look with my left eye and listen with my right ear and make sure that everybody is engaged in the process, that I'm using all my 5 senses to the degree that they work for me to really fill out the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I I don't know. I think the empathy in me does not have me being like, nope, that's a false flag. Nope, that's bullshit. That's a lie. Because I also am a big believer that chickens come home to roost. And that as much as we want to believe that, you know what I'm saying, the United States is too far away. And those are things I said last week. You know what I'm saying? That is really kind of impossible. And this and that. Or Sleeper said, like, there any, and this connects to what you said before. Truth is now stranger than fiction. Right. So there's no more being able to anticipate what's really happening, what, you know, what's real, because the truth be crazy as hell. That man was supposed to have been attacked, attempted to be assassinated. And it was all fake and all bullshit. And we know that. And you know what I'm saying? So like,
look at that man's ear.
Assassination attempt. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you can't tell me that's an ear that got hit with a bullet. You can't tell me that's an ear that got
the things that we've been through, bro. Like, I can't be fooled no more. Like, everything down. The man admitted in real time about the Starlink boxes. I got the election in the bag. He told us to our faces. And people were like, psh. And so, like, there's so much shit that's happening right now that's not a drill, that's not a simulation, that is a simulation, that can't be real, that can't. Godspeed to whoever is involved in whatever is happening. What's popping, Miss Ma'am? Y'all in here in the chat. Definitely, you know, cooking up stuff. Devastating said folks don't want to see America getting whooped in the public stage or on the public stage. That's the reality of the situation. So I don't know, right? Yeah. Because I'm skeptical of everything, but also I'm sensitive enough to recognize and smart enough to recognize that we're not impenetrable and that anything can happen over here. Right. And I'm gonna sit back. I think my real reaction would be, well,
yeah. I mean, because
you know what I'm saying? Like, what else can I say outside of empathy and sympathy? Like, you had it coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, because you talking to black folk that you know we've experienced our churches, and then we talk modern day churches get shot up, grocery stores get shot up. So you know we understand the sensitivity of public safety, the fragility of public safety more than anybody else. Hell, we got to deal with it from the people who are responsible for public safety, right? We look at the people responsible for public safety as terrorists. That's why I like that's why when I hear black people that's like vehemently against like Islam or people like people of Arab descent or immigrants or, you know what I'm saying, all of these things, it's just like, do you know where the fuck you at? Yeah, do you know what the people who told you that are responsible of domestically and abroad to be talking about what you scared of somebody else? Our schools get shot up more than any other schools outside of the ones that we bomb or we facilitate the bombings of. So
hey, by the way, to answer to your question, you said what would it take to believe if some shit happened? Max said Don Lemon on the ground reporting live is the only way. He gonna buy that the shit real. If Don ain't there telling the truth about it, it's not a thing. I think that's a reasonable standard, especially considering they tried to stifle my brother Church House. We're not here to play around. We trust Don Lemon. Don Lemon, we're with you, even to today.
Miss Ma'am said I would need to have had a whole ass convo with the attackers. And met their mama and favorite auntie because I ain't trusting shit they got to say out the gate. Hey, that's a fact. Who Tom said?
that's Trevor. That's the long time supporter of the show. Trevor said,
Trevor.
Yeah, the way that Minneapolis was reported with the 5 to 10 cell phone angles with real humans behind the phone, I guess. Right.
And they still called that man a domestic terrorist. Still. So I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I would need Iran to come out and say, yes, we did that to y'all. That's the only. I mean, then I'd be like, oh damn, we got hit with a terrorist attack. That's if Iran said it, and they have to be like, yes, the United States is right. We blew y'all the fuck up. That was us. We did that. Oh, the last thing, I definitely don't want to. Man, I'm tripping. Last thing, the last bit of this that's really important that we can't get past is that while we up there talking about like these explosives and, you know, traditional terrorist attacks, Iran has actually began to deploy hackers and have hit major platforms. I think it's called
Tyler, I got that number for you in a second, fam.
Oh. I'm sorry, Iran.
No, keep talking. Hackers. No. Hackers. What's happening?
Oh, but what's the so as what reporting is showing is that hackers supporting our Iran claimed responsibility for a significant cyber attack Wednesday against U.S. medical device company Stryker. Since the war began February 28th, they also have tried to penetrate cameras in Middle Eastern countries, which is another colonizer term, to improve Iran's missile targeting. So they already showing their ability to infiltrate key U.S. servers, systems. They've been deleting. They stole a whole bunch of people information. Like if your information was on that Stryker medical records, whatever, Iran got your shit. Like that's what it is. And so we can't forget that there is another level of terrorism that have been introduced, and we use terrorism loosely. That's just the term that our government deploys to call that type of shit that. But it's like Iranian hackers are deploying certain electronic or net assets to get back at the United States. And if they do this, right, if they approach it this way, like we just gonna get them on the net, right? We just gonna get them with hackers. That even though it kind of put all our information at risk in terms of our lives, in terms of like the threat to actual people as opposed to the threat to corporations, that's how you do it. If y'all really trying to hurt, like y'all really want to get to the United States, and y'all recognize that the people of the U.S. don't want this shit, and y'all want to get the people that do, because war is a money maker. Donald Trump is already out here telling people like, "Oh, gas going up. Oh, we gonna make billions off of that." He's saying this out loud.
Wicked.
We gonna make millions off of gas going up. Like we benefit from that, right? If y'all want to hit them people, send in the hackers. Anonymous will probably fuck with y'all right now. Anonymous will probably be like, "Hey, be on our side."
I mean, shit. Put your application in. That's all I can say. Listen, we've come to the end of our conversation. It's still always going to be more to come. Our goal is going to be not to make every dialogue about the Iran war, but the way things is cooking up, it's always a new twist and turn in this. And we want y'all on the journey with us. We want you in the comments checking us, fact checking us, making sure that we are talking about things correct, helping us make sure that we're guiding. This is a community effort. This is Chop Nation. You know what I'm saying? So us just having these discussions together is important, right? And so shout out to Jimmy in the comments. U.S. sanctions are a form of terrorism, 1,000%, right? When we talk about what the United States is able to do and deploy, and this is not withholding the fact that the United States got hackers par excellence. You know what I'm saying? So somebody else pointed out in the chat, I want to say it might have been devastating. No, it was crashing. It said our government does the same shit. We go hack and go run amok with all their systems and infrastructure and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of soft terrorism that's happening, you know what I mean? Like that we don't talk about in terms of the United States because we want to frame and narrate and have certain representations of what an enemy or what a terrorist or what a tyrant looks like and all of those things. And it's all just a ruse for us to not really be looking in the mirror at the ways that our own government, replicates these things. And so we have these talking points. We have these crazy ways of describing and explaining things or not even understanding what's happening because we're not doing the work to look look deeper. And this kind of brings us back to how the conversation started in terms of the news sources, in terms of, the false flags, in terms of all the lies that's, happening that we got to be able to decode. So we do that together. And that's why we come together to have these types of conversations. So we'll do more of this as we move through. Miss Ma'am, definitely go check it out. And Tifa, shout out to, check out the Montana plan. If you haven't, I'm going to look into that and see what's up. I don't even know what that's in the context of, but we're going to see what's good with the Montana plan. Because I like to know about things. Trev said, y'all been inspiring me for a long time, and tonight got me going. Love y'all, love you back, bro. Please do more, not less in these times. Chop up to the top up. Hey, I put the extra up at the end, but it flowed. You know what I'm saying? Chop up to the top up. You did me. It's love to you. But everybody, winter was good. Make sure you go and check out the whole episode. We definitely been going through and trying to dissect a little bit of what's happening with the Iran war. Jazz, thank you very much. Everybody who's been talking to us in the chat, Tyler. By the way, Tyler, last time we checked in, the air quote Iran count was at 5. It was 5 times he said Iran, 2 times he said Iran. One of those times he rolled the R real good because he was trying to be accurate, right? Trying to be cultural. The final count, air quote Iran, in this episode was 21. 21 to 2. As this war goes on, it's gonna give the plug more time to really practice, really get into sound natural about Iran. We're gonna get it done one way or another. Y'all pray for us as we pray for you. We love you so much. It's Chop Nation. We out of here. Consciously gonna be back with us next week. Until then, y'all be good. I love y'all. Share the episode. Make sure y'all engaging in the TikToks. We're starting to get that going, the IG, all of that stuff. Make sure y'all pressing love, pressing like, staying connected. Be safe. Love each other. Do some self-care. Do something special for yourself, for your community. Go pick up some trash or something. Tell your neighbors good morning, good evening, good night. Call your mama. Send that text.
And if you have not subscribed to the Chop Up on YouTube, subscribe to the Chop Up Show on YouTube. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow the Chop Up Show on Instagram. Follow at the Political Plug. It's Toya G, right? Or do you?
It's Toya G. It don't matter. Find me on the Chop Up TikTok. Find me on Substack. Find me on the Chop Up IG. Everywhere y'all are, I am too. It's big love to y'all. We out of this thing.
We out.
Good night.